Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. I hope all of you are doing well, preparing well for the Civil Services examination with your full gist and enthusiasm. This is a video session on daily news and editorial analysis dated 26th of September. Through this video session, I'll be discussing the important news and editorial that would be relevant for the preparation of Civil Services examination. So before I start this discussion, just to give you the glimpses of the news that I'll be discussing for today. For today, the first important news is about the parliamentary panel finding on the national education policy. We'll see the detail. The other important news is about the C295 that has been inducted in the Air Force. We'll see the details, how it will augment the part of overall capabilities for the Indian Air Force. The other important news is about the WHO finding on the hypertension, specifically for the cases that is related to India. Other than this, we have the External Affairs Minister meeting the UN important officials regarding the part of G20 that was recently conducted in India and the future forecast. And the last, we'll conclude the session with the editorial that talks about the GDP and the part of the numbers that need to change. जो base numbers हैं उसमें क्या क्या changes की ज़रूरत है and how it will further augment with the overall calculation. We'll see the details. So let's get started with the detailed discussion. So the first news, that is parliamentary panel funding on the national education policy. This is specifically NEP 2020 that was unveiled by the center government. This is something which is aligned with the part of the technology and even for the part of the things that is necessary required. जितने भी modern equipments या फिर technology, AI, all other relevant discipline that is required has been incorporated in the NP. So the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education has come up with the report जहाँ पे इन्होंने बताया कि जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज़ हैं उसमें जो मल्टीपल एंट्री और मल्टीपल एग्जिट्स की जो पॉइंट है उसको लेकर के कंसर्न है और उसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशंस में भी काफ़ी चैलेंजेस हैं, राइट. सो दिस इज व्हाट द कंपनी हैज़ द पार्ट ऑफ द पैनल हैज़ एक्चुअली रेज्ड कंसर्न. जो पार्लियामेंट्री पैनल है उन्होंने कंसर्न रेज की है. So this is something which will be again important for you to know the fact कि क्या क्या ऐसे challenges हैं जिनके implementations को लेकर के आने वाले समय में दिक्कतें आ सकती हैं. What are the concern and suggestions that has been highlighted? So the finding of the report by the parliamentary panel. So the report has assessed the National Education Policy 2020 और इसके implementations पे खासा सवाल उठाए गए हैं specifically for the higher education, right? So this is specifically for the higher education, and even if you talk about the multiple entry and multiple exits, the implementation in India is not that feasible. This is what the parliamentary panel has said after the consultation with the stakeholder, right? तो stakeholders के consultations के बाद ये सारी बातें उन्होंने बताई. Now, what are the other points that the parliamentary panel has specifically highlighted in this context? The parliamentary panel has noted that in India, we have 1043 university as of now, which is functional. इसमें 70% जो है वो state university है. So 70% is actually the state university, right? 94% of the students are there in the state university and private institutions, and only 6% of the students are actually they are being studying in the secondary or the part of the higher education. Specifically अगर बात करें सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ने वाले बच्चे सिर्फ 6% है. So this is what the finding is. It is pretty less. This definitely need to be augmented and increase at a minimum of 50%, right? So this is what the finding is. और अभी के present context में maximum जो बच्चे हैं 70% they are studying on the state university. So panel has consulted the state government, the union ministers and the stakeholders for their input that how even जो state universities हैं उनमें और ज़्यादा कैसे improvement की जा सकती है, क्या quality enrichment की जा सकती है ताकि जो state universities हैं उनके level को भी बढ़ाया जा सके. And apart from the findings of the committee, this particular committee, which is a 31st member committee, इसमें total 31 member committee थे, they have highlighted some specific area and the point of concern was there among the members. So first was about the rigid separations of the discipline. Suppose individual who is studying in BCom and one who is studying BSc, if both of them want to study history, should they continue or there should be some flexibility in the discipline that should be provided? उसको लेकर के बातें की गई है. जो rigid separation of discipline है उसकी ज़रूरत है. Now, limited access to higher education in socio-economic and disadvantaged area. स्पेसिफिकली द स्टूडेंट हु आर नॉट एबल टू गेट द हायर एजुकेशन, उनके लिए किस तरह से हेल्प की जा सकती है, दैट वाज आल्सो हाईलाइटेड by the parliamentary committee. Specifically, this was with context to the national education policy. Lack of higher education to teach in the local language. Recently, government ने खास करके अगर मेडिकल एजुकेशन की बात करें, इन द मेडिकल एजुकेशन दे हैव बॉट हिंदी लाई गई थी ताकि हिंदी में भी एजुकेशन दिया जा सके. सम ऑफ द लीडिंग यूनिवर्सिटी इन इंडिया प्रोवाइडिंग मेडिकल एजुकेशन इन हिंदी. Limited number of faculty. If you see, if you want to have a good number of students and the quality student, तो यहाँ पे टीचर्स और स्टूडेंट की जो रेशियो है उसे हमें मेंटेन करके चलनी पड़ेगी. लैक ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशनल ऑटोनॉमी समथिंग दैट नीड टू बी वर्कड आउट. हर एक यूनिवर्सिटी को ज़रूरत है कि उनकी जो ऑटोनॉमी है वो प्रोवाइड की जाए एंड दे शुड वर्क ऑन दैट, राइट. सो ऑटोनॉमी इज समथिंग विच इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. The less emphasis has been given on research. If you see at the present government, जो टोटल फंड है स्पेसिफिकली व्हेन इट कम्स टू R&D, अगर R&D की बात करें, the total allocation has been less compared to few years. I mean, in the recent time, for the past couple of decades, the number was on the higher side, but recent के टाइम में जो रिसर्च एक्टिविटीज के लिए फंड है वो काफ़ी कम की गई है. लो स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ अंडर ग्रेजुएट ऑफ द एजुकेशन, खास करके अगर अंडर ग्रेजुएट की बात करें, यहाँ पे इंडिया में स्टिल, बिकॉज आई हैव टोल्ड यू 70% ऑफ द स्टूडेंट आर स्टडिंग इन द स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी, तो अंडर ग्रेड्स के जो करिकुलम्स हैं इट्स नॉट दैट अकीन टू द पार्ट ऑफ, आई मीन जो खास करके सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाए जाते हैं. द पैनल हैज रिकमेंडेड बट दैट बाय 2030 द डिस्ट्रिक्ट वुड हैव अ मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी हायर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस और ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशियो की अगर बात करें, दिस कैन इंक्रीज अप टू 50% बाय 2035 और 26 में ये सिर्फ 2018 में ये सिर्फ 26.3% के आसपास थे. So there are anticipations that this might increase, but for this increase, definitely the government, the state government, the stakeholders need to put their best impetus in this regard. Now, कुछ recommendations दी है parliamentary standing committee ने government को, and what are the recommendations? First, they have called that there should be an allocated fund. See, a dedicated fund is mandatorily required for specifically the socio and economic disadvantaged group. जो SEDG के ग्रुप्स हैं उनके लिए स्पेसिफिकली फंड एलोकेट करने की जरूरत है. और उसके साथ साथ जो हायर एजुकेशन में ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशियो है दैट आल्सो नीड टू बी इंक्रीज्ड फॉर द सोशियो एंड इकोनॉमिक डिसएडवांटेजेस ग्रुप. Promoting gender balance in the administration for the higher education institutions. This is specifically regards to the HAI. We also need to improve this. Expand financial assistance and scholarship opportunities for both प्राइवेट और HEIs हैं, खास करके सोशल और इकोनॉमिक डिसएडवांटेज ग्रुप हैं, इनके लिए फोकस करने की जरूरत है. तो इंटायर पार्ट वाज स्पेसिफिकली टू दिस. Enhance the inclusivity of the admissions process and the curriculum. See what is happening. If you see the state university and the central university, उनके curriculum में काफ़ी हद तक changes हैं. So we need to make things more equivalent जहाँ पे quality teaching को impart किया जा सके. Improving the employability of the youth, specifically with the higher education program, and developing more degree courses that should be taught in the regional language or in the bilingual language. So कई ऐसे रीजन हैं. I mean, if you talk about Hindi, which is there in the medical college, उसके अलावे जितने भी regional language है, we need to promote them so that maximum people can be enrolled and get benefit from that particular which government is actually coming up with. ये कुछ important recommendations थे parliamentary standing committee के. Now funding, that is an important concern. I'm giving you the complete details. मैं आपको पूरी details में बता रहा हूँ कि अगर आपने मेंस में भी लिखना है, you can easily use this folder point that can help you. तो फंडिंग की अगर बात करें, the recommendations were there for the higher education institutions जहाँ पे फंडिंग के अभी भी काफ़ी चंक्स हैं. As I've told you, in the decade, the fund overall fund allocations में काफ़ी हद तक गिरावट देखी गई. Right, and this fund should also be coming from the partner sectors, philanthropy foundations, and international financial institutions. The review was actually there with regards to HEFA loans. खास करके जो competitive HEIs हैं उनमें educations में भी people are offering the part of loan, and these institutions also require a loan to augment their overall capabilities. तो अगर बात करें Center for Excellence की, if they want to have a Center of Excellence तो वहाँ पे भी funding की जरूरत पड़ेगी. The panel noted that the Indian institutions are likely to have a several implementations of multiple entry and exit. I've already talked about multiple entry and multiple exits. इसके साथ साथ मैंने आपके साथ एकेडमिक बैंक ऑफ क्रेडिट की भी बात की थी. So if you have not watched yesterday's video, do check it out. You will be able to recollect the point. और ये पॉइंट आपके लिए भी काफ़ी ज़रूरी है कि इंडिया में किस तरह से मल्टीपल एंट्री और मल्टीपल एग्जिट्स जो कि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज में एक्चुअली बात की गई है, इट्स नॉट feasibly working out in Indian context. And moving ahead with the other news of the day, that is first C295 aircraft that was inducted in Indian Air Force. Recently जो यूनियन डिफेंस मिनिस्टर हैं उन्होंने बेसिकली इनॉग्रेट इवेंटली इंडक्ट किया है C295 medium tactical transport aircraft carrier that was inducted in the Indian Air Force, something very important and significant for country like India, where we have first C295 aircraft carrier. Now, moving ahead, what is the significant features of C295 aircraft carrier? बात करें, the new generation aircraft is from the Airbus. Airbus is a company, it's an American company, जिन्होंने इस versatile textile, the part of tactical transport design part of aircraft को बनाया है. This has also included the transport cargo, maritime patrol, signal intelligence और medical evacuations. तो ये सारी कुछ significant components और features हैं when it comes to the part of the aircraft C95, right? So उसके अलावा कुछ और important चीज़ें जो आपके लिए जानने के लिए ज़रूरी है, that is the C95 aircraft is capable of carrying 9 tons of the payload. So this is 9 ton of the payload which will be there, and as many as 71 troops at the maximum cruise speed of 260 knots. So these are some of the specific features. Those of you who will be appearing for CAPF examination, उनके लिए भी कई बार factual information relevant होगी. The aircraft is capable for performing the special missions as well as the disaster response and maritime patrol duties. So this can further augment the overall part of Indian Air Force की अगर बात करें, वहाँ पे overall capabilities में काफ़ी हद तक improvement देखी जाएगी. Now, what are the things that you need to know about the C295? इसके बारे में अगर specific कुछ बातें करें, so its weight is 5 to 10 tons, right? 50 numbers of the passengers. The length is 12.7 meters, right? And 480 km per hour, or this was the maximum speed is. So this was the basic details about the C295 aircraft. Now, this is a deal between India and Airbus. So this deal where Airbus will provide 16 aircraft. The total number of aircraft will be 60. This will be from the civil assembly जो 2025 तक मिलेंगी. उसके बाद इंडिया में जितनी भी technology transfer, there will be TOT, technology transfer through Tata Advanced System, which will be manufacturing 40 aircraft in advance, और ये industrial partnership के through की जाएगी. The productions and component of this aircraft is already in the main consultant assembly facility in Hyderabad. So India will be manufacturing 16 मिलने के बाद जो 16 total मिलेगी, उसके बाद जो 40 के manufacturing है वो इंडिया में indigenous होनी है with the part of technological transfer and the part of the constituent assemblies. खास करके बात करें जो assembled है वो इंडिया में की जाएंगी. Now, Bharat Drone Shakti, this is again the new inauguration that was there. Defense Minister ने भी इसके साथ इसे inaugurate किया. This is something which was done at Hindueditorianalysis Air Base in Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh. The mega drone is being hosted by Indian Air Force and the Drone Federation of India. So it can be important in examination. आपसे पूछा जा सकता है कौन कौन से दो organization है. So DFI and Indian Air Force. Now moving ahead with other news, WHO report on hypertensions in India, something again relevant for your prelims examination also. और अगर बात करें जनरल स्टडीज पेपर 4 केस स्टडीज में, वहाँ पे भी आप इस तरह के डेटा को यूज कर पाएंगे. तो WHO ने अपनी रिपोर्ट में फर्स्ट हाइपरटेंशन, दिस इज वाज एक्चुअली अ ग्लोबल रिपोर्ट, दिस इज नॉट ओनली कंसर्निंग इंडिया, ये ग्लोबल रिपोर्ट रिलीज की गई थी, बट इंडिया में स्पेसिफिकली कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट डेटा है जो कि एस्टॉनिशिंग है विथ रिगार्ड्स टू द हाइपरटेंशन एंड इवन द कंट्रोल एंड व्हाट आर द थिंग्स दैट इंडिया नीड टू टेक केयर ऑफ. तो बात करें फाइंडिंग्स की, ये फाइंड की गई है दैट इन इंडियन 188.3 हैव हाइपरटेंशन बट ओनली 37% आर एक्चुअली गेटिंग डायग्नोज्ड. जो टोटल लोग आइडेंटिफाई होते हैं उसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ 37% लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको डायग्नोस्टिक में वो जाते हैं, दे एक्चुअली आइडेंटिफाई. Only 30% are estimated people that live with hypertension, while 50% manage to keep their blood pressure under control, which this number is pretty low. Globally, if you see, 33% people have hypertension and they have been diagnosed with the same. एंड एक्सपर्ट सेज इसके अलावा जो और चेंजेस है हाइपरटेंशन में, जो चैलेंजेस हैं, दैट इज गेटिंग अवे फ्रॉम द डायग्नोस्टिक, initiating treatment and controlling it successfully. It's a big challenge for even the country like India. Now, if you see India की अगर specifically बात करें hypertensions में, there are 29% of the people they are hypersensitive. 1.5 million people due to Southeast Asians में ये number है. 214 million people are there with hypertension by 2025. These are the anticipations. This is the data from rural and urban area, and these are some other data that will help you to get an extra informations on the hypertension in India. Now, कुछ concern जो important concerns highlight किए गए हैं. This was specifically by the report that was released by WHO and its hypertensions report. So they have highlighted that most important concern that doctor has come up is the high blood pressures. Per doses की जो medicines हैं उसके वजह से भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स हुई हैं. सो डेफिनेटली देयर इज द पार्ट ऑफ लाइफस्टाइल मेजर्स. अगर बात करें लाइफस्टाइल मेजर्स की, we definitely need to check on this, right? Apart from this, the controlled hypertensions can also lead to heart attack. So this is again the major problem that India is facing. Heart attack एक बहुत ही important issue है इंडिया में, not only for the age group but for the youth. There have been several cases जहाँ पे celebrities के साथ साथ और भी हमने cases देखे हैं heart attack के. Even that, apart from this, they have an irreversible damage for heart and kidney as well. What is more concerning that when people are actually being diagnosed, they are reluctant to take medicine. So these are the part of leniency that actually we Indian are doing. तो ये report specifically WHO ने इस चीज को highlight करते हुए बताया. Now, Hypertensions Control Initiative एक बहुत ही important initiative है जिसने focus किया है for controlling of the hypertension by screening the people, ensuring the protocol-based treatment, and providing the medicine. So medicine is something, a controlled medicine is given to ensure कि उसकी किसी भी तरह से वो जो केस है हाइपरटेंशन की वो बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सक्लेट ना हो. सो दे आर वर्किंग प्राइमरली हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज में काम की जा रही है. 75 मिलियन पेशेंट्स ऐसे हैं दैट हैज़ बीन एक्चुअली टेकन केयर बाय, और 2025 तक ये नंबर और बढ़े जा सकते. IHCI has already managed 5.8 million people with hypertension with 28 states. So this is what the progress had been, and definitely the Indian Hypertension Control Initiative to a larger extent will benefit the mass number of people in the country. Now moving ahead with other news, External Affairs Minister has made UN leadership and UAE leadership for the part of the G20 achievement that India had, और क्या इंडिया की अपनी बेसिकली रोड मैप है उसके बारे में डिस्कशंस हुई. So External Affairs Minister has actually met and discussed the G20 which was successfully conducted in India. उसके साथ साथ इंडिया ने किस तक proactively रोल किया है. So the proactive role which was there by India was discussed, और इवन इंडिया ने सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में परमानेंट मेंबरशिप की भी बात की है with the UN. So this was all the important agenda that was there in the discussions meeting. Now we'll see the details. External Affairs Minister ने UN के जो जनरल सेक्रेटरीज हैं उनसे बात की. And this was actually the meeting that took place in the 78th General Assembly meeting in the headquarters of the United Nations. So EM has also discussed how India presidency was successful in achieving the UN Sustainable Goal Agenda, and on the other reform, the capacity building program was also discussed. Now, key issue of the UNG जो recent में summit हुई उसमें सबसे पहली जो बात कही गई है that is about the UNSC reform. India has been advocating for a permanent member, but still there is no progress on this regard because there is veto from many countries. So यहाँ पे veto की वजह से जो proper UNSC की सीट है वो इंडिया को मिल नहीं पाई. Building up the outcome for the Sustainable Development Goals Summit. This is with regards to the ST Summit. Prosperity and development was other important key areas, and accelerating the actions on 2030. This is basically regards to the sustainable development goals. जो sustainable goals हैं उसके टारगेट को अचीव करने के लिए भी बातें कही गई है. Now moving to the editorial for the day. For today we'll be discussing about the GDP and the base years that actually is being calculated. तो base year के बारे में खासा बात की गई है. This is written by Ashish Kumar and Devendra Verma. So what I'll be discussing in this particular editorial, the issues that is important is about the Indian economy roadmap, measures for the GDP and base year, challenges and the way forward. बात करें करंट जीडीपी एस्टिमेट्स की, अगर इंडिया में, इफ यू सी द करंट जीडीपी एस्टिमेट्स विच इज देयर as the fifth largest economy in the world. India is the fifth largest economy in the world. और यूनियन गवर्नमेंट ने टारगेट सेट की है $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी की. नो एक्चुअली this was supposed to be there by 2024, but due to COVID-19 pandemic, India is lagging behind, right? So India is on the path to becoming the third largest economy by 2027. और कई ऐसे important discussions हैं, decision making है जो इंडिया ने ली है so that we can achieve this target. Now, if you look at the data, I mean, for USA, they have $20.49 trillion total economy. This is the first country with the highest total GDP contributions. China 13.40, Japan 4.97, Germany 4.0, then UK, France, और इंडिया में अभी रैंकिंग देखें, we are at 2.72 trillion. We are definitely aiming for 5 trillion. Definitely by 2024 or 25, we'll be achieving it on a priority basis. इंडिया की क्या रोड मैप है, आई मीन द पार्ट ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने थर्ड लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी बनाने की बात की है इंडिया को, एंड दिस इज अ feasible target which can be achieved by 2025, and even not by that, then 5 years down the line, by 2030 we can achieve this. So this efforts require a continuum of the part of corporations. चाहे वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर की बात करें, they need to have a triple P corporations. पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप्स पे काम करने की जरूरत है. द गवर्नमेंट नीड टू ओवरकम विद द पार्ट ऑफ हर्डल्स, द bottlenecks, policy makers, bureaucracy, ये सारे मिलके there need to be have amalgamations of the progress that need to be done to make a progress and make India the third largest economy of the world. Now, कुछ ऐसे मेजर्स लेने की जरूरत है जहाँ पे जीडीपी और बेस ईयर पे हमें काम करने की जरूरत है. वी डेफिनेटली नीड टू हैव अ प्राइमरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इन मेजरिंग दैट जीडीपी, जो कि एक्चुअली MOSPI करती है, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ स्टैटिकल एंड प्रोग्राम इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. द मिनिस्ट्री ऑल्सो गियर अप टू डेवलप सिस्टम दैट एबल आर डू सो, राइट. तो जो एक्यूरेट मेजरमेंट है जीडीपी की, उसके लिए क्या कैलकुलेशन होनी चाहिए, व्हाट आर द बेस ईयर. सी, बेस ईयर इज अ बिग इशू. रिसेंटली गवर्नमेंट ने बेस ईयर में भी रिविजन की थी, बट देयर इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट कि अभी जो करंट में बेस ईयर, द प्रेजेंट बेस ईयर फॉर 11-12 इज समथिंग विच इज 10 ईयर ओल्ड. ये डाउन द लाइन 10 साल पुरानी है. तो ज़रूरी है हमारे पास कि जो 16-17 के भी जो डेटा है वो यूज़ किया जा सके, या जो करंट डेटा है उनको इनकॉर्पोरेट करके चेंजेस लाई जाए, ताकि हर एक सेक्टर की जो रियल टाइम प्रोग्रेस है वो मॉनिटर की जा सके. Now, what are the challenges? See, अगर compilations की बात करें GDP में, so there are definitely challenges which is there in terms of exercising, in terms of revision of the base year. These are the challenges. So first and foremost, base year की जो revision है, that is a mandate that need to be done. There's a complete assessment from the various data sources that will also require. जो national statistical commissions हैं, उनको MOSPI, जो कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ प्रोग्राम एंड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है, उनके साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करने की जरूरत है, and they need to devise out a policy which is actually working out. They are also coming with a survey which is the consumer expenditure survey, annual survey. ये सारे सर्वेस को एक रिवाइज्ड फॉर्मेट में लाने की जरूरत है, ताकि जो एक्चुअल डेटा है वो प्रेजेंट की जा सके. And further, the availability of the other issues like GST, digital payments, that should also be there, and these data should be made public so that actually awareness is about कि क्या actual GST collections है, UPI की क्या performance रही है इंडिया में. Now, way forward की अगर बात करें, definitely what we need to do, first we need to improve the overall procedures and compilations of the GDP in the country, right? Revision of the base year is again an important part. Base year में revisions की जरूरत है ताकि GDP की calculations proper हो. National account statics में professional experts की जरूरत है ताकि वो एक advisory committee बना पाए, and these advisory committee can help up with giving up their actual solutions to the base year और उसमें किस तरह से revisions करनी है. The decision on the base years could be highest considering the data availability, and the steps should be taken with the part of relevant price and productions which is there, right? So these things need to be worked out, जहाँ पे GDP के सही calculations के लिए base year जैसे changes के recommendations mandatory हैं from the expert and from the other stakeholders which is working for the Indian economy. Now moving ahead, कल के questions के जो answers है उसकी discussion करेंगे, then we'll proceed with the today's MCQs के जो सवाल हैं उसको देखेंगे. First question के जो correct option है that is C, that is the first about the perovskites, that is the structure similar to the variety of features of superconductivity and magnetism. Solar energy most common है इसमें, and as well as they have their superior optical qualities. तो आपने क्या correct answer mark किया है check करें. and do participate and write your answer in the comment section down below. Second is options B. This is something which is a two-dimensional structures, which is with regards to the photo vertices. Moving to the today's MCQ questions. For first, the question is about the Dhanush artillery guns. This is the first long artillery gun manufactured in India. It has a more than 30 kilometers, which is specialized in ammunitions. So what you have to do, you have to just write your correct answer in the comment section down below, और अपनी participations आप इस तरह से दिखा सकते हैं MCQs में. Second question is about the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. This is the highest recognitions in field of science and technology innovations. Only the selections committee headed by prime ministers in India and the people of the origin, Indian origin, staying abroad are also eligible for that one. So आपको चूज करना है. This is on the new pattern of the CSC. उस पैटर्न पे सवाल बनाए गए हैं ताकि आपको ज़्यादा हेल्प मिल सके. So do participate, write your answer in the comment section down below. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us about the courses, test series and admission. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for your time.